Now, ahead of the November off-season gubernatorial election in Imo State, that's southeast Nigeria, the Action Democratic Party has presented a certificate of return to its gubernatorial candidate, Dr. Nwoga Kachi. The ADP National Chairman, Yabaji Sani, said that the primary election in which Dr. Kachi emerged winner conducted according to the Independent National Electoral Commission's guidelines. Sani also said that the primary election was orderly, peaceful and successful. He described Dr. Kachi as a distinguished Nigerian, imbued with many parts. In his acceptance speech, the ADP's gubernatorial candidate said he will restore peace to the state if elected governor in that region. Now, joining me on Newsday to speak on his ambition and his plans for Imo State is the governorship candidate for the Action Democratic Party himself, Dr. Nwoga Kachi. Thanks for coming to Newsday. It's good to have you with us. Now, let me start, on the orgy. Yes, good. On the orgy of violence and insecurity in Imo State, occasioned by calls for sit-at-home protests, how would you evaluate efforts towards that so far? And how can you improve on this scenario if elected into office? It's most unfortunate that the Southeast has been inundated with negative news regarding that.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much. And good day to all the viewers out there. Yes, security, very important, and very important. First of all, what do Imo people need at this time? I'm coming to your question. What do they need? Because that's why I'm out here. The first thing they need is security. So you're right on that. The efforts, I don't want to go into all the descriptions and arguments about what has been done and how it has been done, the different things, claims that have been claimed to have been done. But what is very glaring is that despite all of this, the results are not correct. They're not good. The people don't have security. So the point is not to dwell on what has been done, but what do we do? What am I going to do differently? We have a local problem. Of course, there's a Southeast issue. But have you asked yourself, how come Imo seems to be worse hit than the other Southeast states? It means something else is also happening there. So the point is that, everybody in this country at some point agreed that security needed to be broken down to the local levels. Unfortunately, it appears that with the security threat, all that we see is security being rushed up again, everything going all the way back up. Today in Imo, you have central security outfits operating from the center and going to the hinterlands. The people don't know them. The people have not accepted them. So they don't seem to be working with the people. Any security apparatus that does not have the confidence of the people will never, ever be effective. So what to do is to get back to the homegrown security, which, by the way, has worked sometime and given results. Go back to homegrown security. Deal with the proper training, the proper harnessing. Let me tell you, there is no village. I'm bringing it down to the lowest levels. There is no village in Imo that does not understand her own security problems. There's no village in Imo that doesn't know who their friends and who their enemies security-wise are. So if these people have a say in their own security, using their homegrown networks, these things will begin to change. Everything will change. The information they require to work will happen. So that is the first big issue. The second issue, of course, is that now that with the instrumentality of state, what do? You officialize these local networks, give them the necessary training, give them the necessary apparatus, and coordinate them properly. And Imo can be secured the way it should be. Imo people are not violent people by nature. Imo is a naturally peaceful place. People love to enjoy their lives. People actually come home for everything. That's a natural Imo person. Unfortunately, today, the reverse is the case. We see things now having traditional ceremonies in Lagos, in Abuja. Some people come back from abroad and don't even get back to Imo State at all. They come back and go, and they have to ship their parents to where they're staying outside Imo to see them, and then they have to go back. Certainly not the Imo State of Dr. Kachi Nwoga.
All right, Dr. Kachi, and it's most unfortunate that we've been having high-profile security meetings, but unfortunately, we're still where we are with the scenario, regarding, sit-at-home protests and people being forced to do things against their will, and nothing has actually come out of that. And it gives this sense that, okay, perhaps the regional governments are a little bit overwhelmed or maybe complicit, as it were. But in other news, you mentioned the issue of grassroots. So what is your party's penetration there with people at the grassroots, and how have you fared as an opposition to the current government? Do you adopt constructive criticism when you need to?
Okay, just before I come to that, you mentioned something about the governments being overwhelmed. I want you to understand something. In Abia State, right next door, we don't have these challenges the way we have them in Imo State. A far cry. As a matter of fact, in the past 1.5 to 2 years, there's hardly been any killings in Abia State. Yes. So when you say regional government, I need you to understand that something is supposed to happen in Imo that is not happening. And something happened in that place where you are. And by the way, yours truly was a part of that. So we understand the terrain a little bit. What I'm saying is that despite the challenge, which of course is not small, but despite that, the state government itself, a governor in Imo State that understands what to do, can go a very, very long way. It can go far in getting the place secured. That's one. Second, now, talking about the opposition in the state, one of the things that has brought me into this race is to reawaken Imo people, because one challenge I must tell you that exists there is a spirit of desolation, giving up, thinking that nothing can be good again. People are really giving up, and it's a challenge. And I can tell you that everybody, including the press like you, we all have work to do, because one of the worst things that will happen to any people is when they believe that nothing can change their situation. Unfortunately, activities happening within the state are not helping matters actually going. Today, I'm a governorship candidate. My party is here. My party is being made impossible for my party to, even as much as put my billboard in the states. I can't brand my vehicle. You brand your vehicle, they come to take it. I'm being asked to pay 54 million naira to be able to put billboard. The same state that has billboards at dawn, only one candidate, only one party has billboards in the entire states. How does that work? How does that work? So the point is that there is a stifling of opposition, a very, very dangerous stifling of opposition. And all these things compound security situations. Because when the people have decided to give up, things can happen. And that's why, like I said, everybody has a job to say. I really expected that the press would do better. I expected the Nigerian Bar Station would do better. Even the church I expected would do better. Why? If you cannot hear the voice of the opposition in any state, you have as well killed that state. Imo is suffering from a serious stifling of the opposition.
Indeed, Dr. Onyekachi, I understand that. But since the stifling of the opposition, do you believe in having, starting from bottom up, from the grassroots democracy? That's why I asked about how have you penetrated, the people at the bottom in winning their allegiance to you?
The Action Democratic Party is a different kind of party. That's the party that believes truly in a proper education of the people. Education means information. That's why we go to the grassroots. Not only do they have information, they are the ones who make their choices of who becomes their leaders, right from the grassroots. So yes, we have the Action Democratic Party down to all the polling units, down to all the wards and local governments, carrying their party upwards, which is why today the Action Democratic Party is probably the only party in this country that doesn't have a crisis. This party is run everything we do comes out transparently because the people do it. And that is the strength of the party. And that is the strength we want to bring to bear in this election coming. We need to have our messages go down quickly with all the media that we can. And that's why we are saying that everybody should please allow the opposition to breathe. Allow us to stand. It gets to the point where people are even afraid of holding rallies and coming out for rallies. These are the things we should be enjoying now. People, everybody coming out. It's supposed to be a healthy competition. It's not supposed to be a do or die. It's not, the desperation is not supposed to be there. If all of us are truly interested in making Imo State a better place, in giving the best to Imo State, I don't see why we should be fighting. Because it means we all want the same thing. It's just that I feel I can do that better than the next man, and then we should be able to present and offer ourselves to all the people, not only members of our party, but to the entire public in Imo State, to be able to assess us and take their own decision, because their decision is supposed to be what will make somebody to become the governor. But like I said, I really have to continue to worry about what is happening. Let me tell you, if this is allowed to continue, I can tell you that somebody somewhere is going to do slightly worse. If this is allowed to continue, it means that something other than the Electoral Act is now regulating election, because campaign is an essential part of election. And somebody else now is sitting in the state regulating campaign and election. And I don't think Nigeria should be keeping quiet about it.
Indeed, Dr. Onyekachi, there should be a freedom of expression, regardless of wherever we come from. So beyond the issue of security, what, in your opinion, is the fundamental issue regarding the welfare of Imo State indigents? What exactly do you think they need most at the moment? We talked about security issues, but when it comes to social infrastructure regarding that, and how would you go about doing this?
Imo people love education. Imo people is a state that everybody wants to be educated. Anybody who runs Imo State must give access to education, which is why Action Democratic Party, our symbol is a book. And in keeping with that, the government of Kachi Nwoga under the Action Democratic Party will definitely make education free and qualitative, because Imo people have standards when it comes to education, and we must be able to maintain those standards. So that's very important. Imo people need jobs. The unemployment rate is 43%. That is unacceptable. That's a no-no. In fact, I don't know what anybody conceives that Imo should be. With 43% unemployment, that's next to chaos. So definitely, you need a government that can understand how to create, not just create jobs, but make the people able to assume even the jobs. Because it will shock you that even in this 43% unemployment, we end up being net importers of labor. In the real sense of it, the high-tech jobs and stuff like that, we still have to import people to do the jobs. So that's why it's very important that you equip your people, the working youths, the youths that can work, you equip them with the relevant skills. So the finishing schools are a major, major part of the plan of my party and my government, because everybody must be able to go through some finishing schools that will hone them and make them actual experts in those little things. I've given examples several times, and I said, yes, you can produce engineers, but guess what? I want somebody who is an expert on paints and painting, all right? When he looks at the wall, he will say, this is the quality of paint that can fit this wall. If I make this paint this way, it will last 20 years. If I make that way, it will last 10 years. If I make it this way, when the rain comes, it will get brighter. Now, he understands, oh, mold will not grow. Because of this place, there's a propensity for mold to grow. I advise you to use this paint so that mold will not grow on it. Because he now becomes an expert on that. Anytime you want to talk about paint, you go look for him. And so this guy now will never ever look for a job.
All right, Dr. Onyekachi.
So I need that guy in virtually every aspect of.
Very good. Dr. Onyekachi, hopefully you can do this in 30 seconds. Do you have confidence in INEC's ability to conduct the November elections in Imo State? Briefly, please.
The laws, the statutes, and the equipment are able, INEC has today, are able to do the job and do a free and fair election in the Imo State. The human beings around them have to prove themselves. They have lots of questions to answer. In the election of March 18th this year, everybody in Imo State can tell you that that was a sham. Whoever participated in those elections should never be allowed to conduct elections in Imo State again. Those people cannot give Imo State anything that looks like an election. And I want to be quoted on this. All those who did the March 18 election in Imo State did a major injustice to INEC and whatever they are supposed to stand for. Please, I say, November 11th, none of those people should be anywhere near there. People of integrity should come and help to do elections within what the rules of INEC and the equipment they have, which really is very possible to give a free and fair election.
Very good. On that note, Dr. Nwoga Kachi, Action Democratic Party governorship candidate for Imo State November elections, would like to thank you for your time.